What's going on, traders? Welcome to the channel. My name is Nate, and today we're going to do a little market recap. All right, it is Tuesday, August 5th, just for reference. All right, let's get into it, starting off with the S&P 500. Today was actually pretty significant because price filled this gap. Now, this gap fill level is going to be resistance, so price needs to break above this resistance level here if we're going to get a move higher. If it does break above resistance, we're likely going to get a retest of this prior all-time high. However, if price does not break above this resistance level, we're going to see a move down here to retest this pivot low, and we'll see if it can stay above this. One thing to note is if price does not break above this resistance level, we could potentially see consolidation sideways, which, as you guys know, is a bear flag, which means we would probably get a move to the downside. All right, let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Really not a whole lot to say here. Price has been trading within this channel for quite some time. It either needs to break out to the upside or the downside, but either way, it's trading within this channel. All right, let's take a look at the Dow Jones. This chart's a little interesting because we have a couple things going on. So number one, price recently broke below this trend line. As you can see, sorry to keep moving the chart around, but so we have this trend line here, which price stayed above for quite some time. Well, it recently broke below. So now so basically that means that our uptrend is no longer an uptrend. All right. So price broke below. This trend line is now going to be resistance. Something else, we actually have this trend line here, and as you can see, it was acting as resistance. Price broke above temporarily, but then got rejected and broke down below this trend line. And take a look at today's price action. We actually hit this trend line almost to the penny, and price reversed. So we need to see price break above this trend line before we can get a move back to the upside. All right, let's take a look at the Russell 2000. Let's see here. Actually, kind of like the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000 was trading within this channel for quite some time. It did break below, so now this bottom line of the channel is going to act as resistance. So we'll see if price can break above this trend line here. All right, so let's take a look at the chart of Coinbase. So this is actually really interesting, and I'm going to show you why. So first, actually, let's take a look at Bitcoin really quick. These two charts are very similar, not NVDA, but Coinbase and Bitcoin, because we have this support trend line and we have this support level here. And look at what happens right here. We have an area on the chart where two factors converge, and look at what happened. Bitcoin got a little bounce. It wasn't much. 4% bounce where it tested resistance and is currently pulling back. So the question is, are we going to get a bounce on Bitcoin, or is it going to break below this trend line? Only time will tell. But if we go back to the Coinbase chart, you can see that we have something very similar. We have this support trend line and we have a horizontal support level here. And sure enough, price is currently testing this level. Very interesting. So this is actually going to be a really strong support level. I would expect a bounce, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. I mean, you can see that currently price is respecting this trend line here, and we'll see if price can bounce tomorrow. So if it does bounce, where's it going to go? Well, I think that we could get a move up to this gap fill right here, and if we hit this gap fill, it's probably going to pull back and retest this trend line. Now, if price does break below this trend line, we do have the 200-day moving average just below right here, which kind of is in line with this support level here. So more than likely, if price breaks below this trend line, we are going to get a retest of this support area. All right, so let's take a look at NVDA. NVDA has been trading within this range for, since April, and that's basically where it's at right now. What's kind of interesting about NVIDIA at the moment is it is having a really hard time breaking above this level. I mean, you can see we have this massive bearish candle, and then we've had price just kind of sitting at this level for a few days. So this major trend line here, this is going to be a major level for NVIDIA, because if it breaks below this trend line, that is extremely bearish for price. So as long as NVIDIA stays above this white trend line, I mean, it is in an uptrend, but if it breaks below this white trend line, look out below. We are going to get a big move to the downside, probably down here to this $152 support level, which is comprised of these prior highs right here. So this is the trend line that you need to watch on NVIDIA, is this one right here. All right, so let's take a look at Tesla. I know a lot of you guys are really curious about Tesla. It is an interesting chart for sure, because price has been trading within this, really it's like a pennant formation for quite some time. This is a bullish pattern, right? But it looks like price is currently kind of consolidating on the bottom end here. So the question is, I mean, this is bearish consolidation. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. In fact, let's go to the hourly chart just to get a better look at this consolidation. So this is kind of bearish consolidation right on the low end of this pennant. So the question is price going to break to the downside, or is it going to break to the upside? It's kind of hard to say. I mean, right now it's looking like it's going to break down. And if it does, it's going to come down and retest this support level here. But if it breaks to the upside, we are going to retest these highs right here. All right. And last, taking a look at the chart of Apple here. So Apple created this bullish pennant pattern, which it did break out of. However, Apple did not get above this resistance level here, which is actually very bearish. In addition, there was this support trend line here where price broke below, and we actually got confirmation of a move to the downside when price tried to break above this trend line here. You can see this wick, and it got rejected, and then we got this massive bearish candle. So basically what you have on Apple, it's really interesting because you had this bullish pattern. Price broke out and created a double top, got rejected. So there's basically no bullish momentum, right? And then it broke below the support trend line, retested, and got rejected with this massive bearish candle. I mean, a 2.5% to the downside candle, extremely bearish. I mean, when you take all those factors and combine them, it is not good for Apple.